So I would have started the stream a little earlier today, but unfortunately, well, or rather, not unfortunately, I started talking to Mangler, and that went on for hours. So, yes, I actually did acquire the second Doctor Who deck I was waiting for, the Masters of Evil deck. So this time I'm actually gonna do the full sort of unboxing on stream rather than the what I did yesterday. Regarding Kyle's stream, I will try to get to my PC. His stream will be a little shorter today, unfortunately. If and I'll try to make it up Saturday if he's willing to like do it Saturday. But for now, we'll just go with this. So, yeah, this is the villains deck for Doctor Who. We went over the original heroes deck the last time we were doing this sort of overview of this deck. This time, however, we will be going through the villains. You get a nice little setup like that for this event. I don't know specifically what certain token cards actually do. I can't help but wonder if that's like meant to mark your deck, because like they give you tokens like these, but I don't really know what the fuck these do. Hang on, let me try to move this over a little bit. Yeah, I'll turn on the light actually. There you go. Yeah, so we'll be going over through the villain one this time. So this one does have Devros as the leader of this deck, technically. Devros is the creator of the Cybermen, and as such, he has, or not the creator of the Cybermen. Well,
I was about to
yeah,
say, what?
yeah, I slept with tongue. He's the creator of the Daleks, not the Cybermen. He created the better one. The deck actually does come with this little actual little box set they give you. I'm not the biggest fan of Missy being on the cover so much. It is called the Masters of Evil deck list, but Devros is the leader of the deck. So I don't really know why Missy is the one that's kind of advertised the most in this deck list. It's not like it's not a bad thing, but it's just kind of weird because she's also arguably the master that was the least evil. So I'm a little surprised that they went that route for Missy. Every Doctor Who deck also comes with a little envelope to hold, referred to as plane chaser cards, which we did not look at last time. Like, for example, this is the City of the Daleks. This one has Skaro on it. We'll come back to these a little later. Because these are, I'm not even playing with those. Apparently, those have their own whole fucking mechanic. Plane chasing's a little weird, apparently. But we do get a sample booster pack in here, along with several tokens and stuff from Doctor Who. These tokens ultimately are fucking worthless. They, because the way Magic players play this game usually involves like a heavy amount of dice to begin with. So you never end up using these, but you do actually get a free Magic dice, which is also cool. Although you don't really use that. You do use that dice for something, but you don't really use these tokens for anything. I'm just taking them out on the chance that like someday I might use them for something, so might as well. I didn't realize they give you a deck box when I first bought these because I bought a normal deck box for me and my brother to do this. But I guess they do give you a deck box that just actually works with everything. I think that's it for this thing. Hello, Jeremy. Yeah, sorry we're doing the card stream so late. Got stuck having a conversation with Mangler and Kyle for several hours, and then that kind of threw my whole schedule for a loop, along with some water issues I got going on in my house. So, ideally, we'll have a Kyle stream later. Ideally, if not, I'll try and push it back for Saturday. See if he's willing to do Saturday for us, Sunday for him. Ideally, yeah. So currently going through another Doctor Who Magic deck. This time with the villains. This was the one I was supposed to do yesterday that we couldn't get around to because my deck wasn't here. So that was fun. Yesterday, I believe I went over the Doctors, the original Doctors. This time we'll be going through the major villains of the series. I'll put this somewhere. So, move this over here. I'm going to start, before I say anything, with just opening a quick little pack. Every Doctor Who deck comes with a free little booster pack. Unfortunately, it's not like an actual booster pack. It's just 2 cards you can get in the set. These are just alt arts or shinier versions of the cards you get within the main deck. Alright, good luck, mate. So, let's see here. Oh, okay, that's kind of cool, actually. So, we got an alternate art version of the first Doctor. And we have a new spell that I don't have, Out of Time. Another one from the Day of the Doctor setup, where the Doctor just go around. What are you doing?
Well, I'm transfer cards.
It's Out of Time. It's a Doctor Who event.
Oh, yeah, that's one I haven't given times.
Okay, that explains it. Yeah. Pretty cool. Just showing the TARDIS getting ready to turn Gallifrey into a picture, because that's what's happening to Gallifrey. Basically, the idea is that, like, you can't die if you're not there, you know? Yeah, so for Doctor Who decks in particular, that's how they do things. You don't need to buy booster packs for this setup. You just need to get a hold of a structure deck, and you can get a hold of like 50 of the cards that come in the set. I don't know how many reprints occur in these sets alone, so we'll see how that goes. I do have sleeves, so we will be sleeving up cards on this stream. I apologize for that. So, let's see how this goes. I have not seen too much of this artwork, but I can talk about these villains a little more than I could talk about last time, because I wasn't too familiar with some of the more classic Who moments. But this time we do have the villains. Like here we have a Devros. This is actually, here, let me pull these cards out a little bit, and I can show you. Anyone who ends up watching this later. Just in case you're wondering, there will probably never be a Magic the Gathering stream on this channel. If you guys can barely withstand like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, there's no way you guys will want to sit down and watch a Commander Magic duel. That shit takes a while. So, let us begin. So because Devros is the leader for this deck in particular, Devros does get a special thicker card because commander units are not actually in your deck. Commander units can be played outside of your deck. They are always on the outside, so you don't have to worry about them. The way decks are built in Magic is you have to have the colors on the leader to play the deck. So in this deck in particular, I think you can only run either Missy or Devros, because only Missy or Devros have the 3 colors you need for your archetype. So let me see if I can't get a better visual of that. So, for example, Devros, Dalek Creator. So Devros consistently appears in Doctor Who. He's been around, I believe, since the 4th Doctor's era. I think there was, yeah, he's been around since 4th Doctor's era. And he was the creator of the Daleks. His backstory only got fleshed out a little bit in 13th Doctor. Beyond that, he was just a scientist who just wanted to create the ultimate life form, if I remember correctly. He is really smart. He shows up repeatedly throughout Doctor Who. I believe this version in particular is supposed to be the Time War. But basically, he just summons more Daleks onto the field. Really cool art, really cool flavor around the character. From what I understand, this deck focuses on summoning minions, which is very much in theme with how the villains work in Doctor Who. So that is pretty cool. Shit, where's this fucking open at? There we go. The next one is actually going to be our first version of the Master in this deck that we see, which I believe is to give people the option to play either Devros or this one. This is Missy. Missy appeared in the 13th Doctor's run as his version of the Master. However, I mean, she is technically evil, but I wouldn't really say she should have been in this deck. I think she should have been in the 13th Doctor's deck. more specifically, because Missy was more of a ally to the Doctor in this run than she was a antagonist. This is actually the first time in Doctor Who we ever saw a Time Lord actually regenerate into the opposite sex, because the Master was, canonically a male for most of his run, and or not canonically male. He was always a male in his appearances, and then out of nowhere, she comes along and she is the Master. So she's good. I'm a little bummed out that she is the one they kind of chose to represent the overall deck, because again, like, instead of it being Devros, it is Missy on the cover instead of being Devros. I think that's a little silly given that Devros is the leader they expect you to run. But she's actually more expensive than Devros, because Devros is a little simpler in its ability. But so these are two commanders supposed to run this deck. Missy does end up dying by killing herself, technically, because she kills a version of the Master, but that Master, in response to her killing him, kills her in response. So she technically kills herself, and that's how her story ends, although I do think she survives that assassination attempt, but he technically does too, if I remember correctly. So now, we'll talk more about Masters when we get to them. Her run was heavily focused on Cybermen, which her ability, Devros summons Daleks, she summons Cybermen when they die, and so that's kind of cool. We have the Aton Soldier. This was a sort of plastic-esque mannequin that this version, I believe, is from the Ninth Doctor's era, because the Terror of the Atons was a Third Doctor episode, but these are just basically mannequins that come to life to kill people. I don't know if they can copy things in the story. This particular card can copy any card on the field, but I don't know if that's flavorful to the actual character in the story. I just noticed that these have less legendary creatures than the other decks do, which I find a little interesting. The Flood of Mars, unfortunately, I'm not quite familiar with the Flood of Mars card. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what the backstory is for this one. I believe Flood of Mars is a 13th Doctor story. I do not believe that is I don't think that's a 10th or 11th. This could be 10th Doctor, but I don't remember the 10th Doctor going to Mars where Mars was more populated like that. So, next we have Cyber Conversion. So, this is just referencing the fact that Cybermen take organic matter and, put people inside of it. And I just realized that now, but I didn't realize this until I looked at here. Those are Cybermen eyes, and that is like the soul of a person inside a Cyberman, which I think is pretty fucking cool. The deck focuses more again on summoning minions. So the Cybermen are dangerous, but they're basically drones, same as the Daleks. So I'm really kind of glad that we're getting that sort of flavorful tech situation when it comes to these decks so far. From what I've seen, that is how the decks have been treated. Hunted by the Family is the next one. This is a great 10th Doctor episode. So if you've never seen Doctor Who, the 10th Doctor ends up running away from Time Lord Eaters, essentially, who are trying to kill him to gain his generations to live as long as he can. But he runs away from them in order to not kill them, because he would rather they just starve to death than he would actually get his hands dirty. But they end up attacking a village he has ran away to, killing a lot of innocent people. So what the Doctor does is, at the end of the episode, after he beats them, instead of killing them, he gives them eternal life, but he imprisons them in specific ways where they will never be able to escape or have anything beyond that. The dad specifically gets put into chains that can never be broken and is left dangling upside down, I think, forever. The little girl there in the middle, this one right here, she is trapped in a mirror forever. The way the show describes it is, if you've ever thought you've seen something in the corner of your eye in a mirror, that is her, because she's in every mirror throughout all of time. The mother in particular, you can barely see her with this lighting. The mother right here ends up getting trapped in a collapsing dwarf star. or I think it's a collapsing galaxy, and the sun, who was the leader of the group, the last one there, ended up being frozen in time forever, and he is now left as a scarecrow, like just up in England's like fields. Eventually they'll find him probably, but like I mean like you'll never be able to break him free. Okay, so here we have a Dalek, just a standard Dalek drone, who does have flying and menace, which is pretty disgusting from what I understand. And he basically just kills a card when you play it on the field. The Vasya Narada is the next card on the table. The Vasya Narada's abilities are they're just shadows, but apparently the way Doctor Who describes it is shadow. The reason everyone in existence is afraid of the dark is because they're afraid of the Vasya Narada, which are just like he describes them as piranhas in the air. This is a 10th Doctor enemy, and basically the way it works is that if there's a big enough infestation of Vasya Narada anywhere, they will eat any organic matter or like any meat in like seconds. So here we have the Time Reaper. I'm actually a little unfamiliar with this one, but I believe this is the Ninth Doctor's run. I believe this is the creature that comes out to try and kill the Ninth Doctor after Rose tries to save her dad. Which does technically work until his dad sacrifices himself to make it happen, but the Doctor would have succeeded. Uh, Doomsday Convalescence. Really cool artwork, but I have no idea where this card comes from. There are Cybermen all over the place and Daleks, so I have to wonder if this is either just a reference to the David Tennant episode where the Cybermen and the Daleks fight a war against each other, or if there's some other event that I'm not aware of that has those two involved. Next, we have the Toymaker's Trap with the First Doctor. The Toymaker was a First Doctor only villain, but from what I understand, is coming back for the 13th Doctor's run, or for the 14th Doctor's run, which is going to be pretty cool because the 14th Doctor, or technically he's the 14th, but so what happened was is after the last Doctor, to try and boost sales, I'm assuming, they asked David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, if he'd be willing to come back for Doctor Who again. And he did agree, so we're getting a rerun of the 10th Doctor. I do not know this villain, but I will show the artwork. Next we have Genesis of the Daleks. I believe this is a 7th Doctor episode, or it could be a 4th Doctor actually. This is an episode. I just don't remember if Genesis of the Daleks is the 4th Doctor episode where you find out how the Daleks were created, or if it's the one where the Daleks get the upper hand on the Doctor with 7th Doctor, but then he ends up winning. So next we have This Is How It Ends. This is involving the 11th Doctor's journey, because the 11th Doctor didn't really have a lot of enemies that were noteworthy name-wise. He did have a few characters, but he never fought the Master, and he never fought Devros either, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so we have artwork of when Rory, the 11th Doctor's companion, ends up getting touched by a Weeping Angel and just sent through time. Because the way Weeping Angels work in Doctor Who is they can grab you and warp you out and just warp you to a different location, if I remember correctly, and they can also just infect everything. They have a lot of crazy powers, actually. But, what ends up happening in that episode is they think they win. They've successfully almost won at the end. And at the very end, there's one lone Weeping Angel that just grabs Rory. And when they look away, because the way the Weeping Angels work is they can only move when you're not looking at them. And yeah, it just warps Rory away. And then afterwards, it ends up warping Amy away. And that's how they ended the 11th Doctor's first set of companions. They do live a happy life overall, but yeah, they end up the Doctor can never go see them again because of some sort of like time lock in the time stream because of what the angels did. And so he loses. That's how he loses his first set of companions. Death in Heaven is the next one. This is in reference to the 13th Doctor's run. No, this is 12th Doctor's run. And this is the episode where Missy shows up, where you find out that Missy had been converting all life on Earth into Cybermen. Or not all life on Earth specifically. She converted all of the corpses on Earth to Cybermen. She ends up losing because, again, she wants to be the Doctor's friend in this one. Not so much, just be evil. Have a nice little Cyberman destruction thing. I'm a little surprised this is a Cyberman card and not a Dalek card specifically, but okay. Next we have Ensnared by the Mara. I'm not too familiar on this one, honestly. I thought this was a Magic exclusive card, but this is supposed to be like an actual Doctor Who card. I'm not familiar with that antagonist. Next we have Day of the Moon. This was, I think, one of the season finales for a Doctor, the 11th Doctor's run. And this was one of the best stories of the 11th Doctor's run, because it introduced something called the Silence. And the way the Silence work as enemies is whenever you look away from the Silence, you will forget you ever saw them. So the second you lose eye contact with them at all, your memory of them is just gone. And so the Doctor and Amy and them had to start marking their faces and their bodies to see how many times they've seen the Silence. And it basically ends up in this whole time paradox where a Doctor ends up on the beach and saves himself because of something he does. Little interesting. Okay, here we go. So we're getting to a few more legendary creatures. Like here we have the Master Multiplied. This was the Master of David Tennant's run, who does make a reappearance in the 13th Doctor's run, and he and Missy are the only two Masters to have an on-screen appearance of being with multiple Masters. His main shtick was creating creatures that couldn't really die or implanting himself into other creatures. So as a result, he ends up. So in the end of, I think it's the End of Time is what it's called. Which is his final run in the 10th Doctor's final episode, is he ends up converting his like existence onto every human on Earth and just ends up taking them over that way. And in his first run, he beats the Doctor for a year, and then the Doctor gains godlike power and reverses basically everything he did by creating Toclafang, which were just humans from the future. He converted them into like freaking just orbs of destruction that would go around killing people for fun. And he did win. He was pretty successful as far as Masters go. Even in the 13th Doctor's appearance, while he does get kind of played off as a bit more of like a loser and a joke, he does ultimately succeed in his goal. The Master, as I mentioned last time, ultimately loses half the time because he overextends his reach. And in this case, this Master in particular was really fucking competent, but he underestimated the Doctor too much and just kept overextending his reach too far, and it just got to the point where he just couldn't keep up with himself. Here we have the other Master who we had the altar for, Mesmerist, the first Master. This Master appeared for only the 3rd Doctor's run because he unfortunately had an accident in real life that ended his life. But his main shtick as the Master, Missy, Cybermen. The Master, David Tennant's run was more insanity, but also creating creatures almost like instantly to fight the Doctor. And this Master's run was more so using other like creatures that already exist to his advantage and using hypnosis to get what he wanted out of all of them. Here we have Rassilon. I mentioned Rassilon in the last Doctor Who Doctor Who video. Yes. So Rassilon was the president. So Rassilon is technically the creator of the Time Lords, or one of the creators. Like he's one of the like originators of the species. But in the Doctor Who mythos, Rassilon was a godlike figure among the Time Lords who had access to massive amounts of technology and massive amounts of other abilities and knowledge that the other Time Lords didn't possess. He was basically considered a god in their eyes. And what ended up happening was during the Time War, I guess they fully resurrected him, and he somehow lost the fucking Time War. This version of Rassilon in particular, I believe, is a reference to the 13th Doctor's run, or to the 10th Doctor's run. It could be 13th Doctor specifically, because he looks a little older, but I think he is meant to look more like the version that 10th encountered. So what Rassilon had in his run was a gauntlet. He had a, I guess the gauntlet of Rassilon, where he would point it at you and completely vaporize you just by just fucking pointing at you. Probably the most powerful weapon Time Lords had, handheld weaponry. Belonged to Rassilon, and Rassilon somehow ended up losing the fucking Time War with all of his fucking knowledge and power, which I guess speaks more for the Daleks coming into play. There are audio dramas. He would have killed the Doctor, but the Master gets in his way, and the Master starts tasing the fucking Rassilon to the ground, because when the Master comes back after his first death in David Tennant's run, because the Master continuously dies and keeps coming back, but they won't just flat say he's immortal. He gains the power to shoot his own life energy out at people, and when he finds out that Rassilon had been using him, he saves the Doctor by attacking Rassilon and gets stuck back in the Time War with the other Time Lords. So yeah, Rassilon is very smart, is very dangerous, but by the time of the Time War, I don't know how the fuck the Time Lords actually lose the fucking Time War, because they were losing. The Day of the Doctor reveals that Gallifrey was on their home planet, and keep in mind, this is a war across all of time and space, so this is a massive fucking war. And Gallifrey was already reduced to their own home planet, fighting off the Dalek fleet. So it's a little weird that they ended up losing, because before the Time War, the Time Lords were vastly beyond every other species. It's just that randomly out of nowhere, the Time Lords just get eclipsed or on the same level as the Daleks, and they just get taken out. Really fucking weird. All right, here we have another version of the Master. This is the 13th Doctor's Master. Hello, Toby. You're new here. Actually, wait, I think I've seen your icon before. I wonder where I've seen it before. Yeah, I'm just talking about the Doctor Who cards right now, because I ended up buying 2 decks. I already talked about one yesterday. Yeah, so this Master... I'm not too familiar with this Master's run, actually, because I wasn't a big fan of the 13th Doctor. I do know this Master in particular somehow converted all of the Time Lords into Cybermen. The Master gets along with the Cybermen pretty well, consistently, actually. That's been a consistent theme with the Master. Because even while the Master we talked about earlier with the 10th Doctor's Master, when he comes back for the 13th Doctor's run, or the 12th Doctor's run, he does create Cybermen. So yeah, this one just turns all the Time Lords into Cybermen, and I don't know what else he does beyond that, because I think he dies in that episode, and then what ends up happening is he comes back again, he actually does successfully kill the 13th Doctor, to be fair. Well, I say kill, but I mean, he does cause her to regenerate, which is pretty solid feat for most of the Doctor Who villains when they are actually able to pull that off. Most characters in Doctor Who don't get so lucky, at least villain-wise. The Master has consistently been responsible for most of the Doctor's deaths attributed to a single person. Next, we have the Valeyard, which is a villain that appears in the 6th Doctor's run and only appears for one run, one episode, and that's it. There actually is a card from this event. It's called Trial of the Time Lord. So the Valeyard in particular was the most unique villain Doctor Who had ever produced, because the Valeyard is the Doctor, which you find out during the Trial of the Time Lord. Hello, Pim Demon. I've already gone through some of the cards so far. What you find out in Trial of the Time Lord is that the Valeyard is a future version of the Doctor who went back in time to get the Doctor's regenerations to live longer. He's only appeared in one story. He was supposed to come in during the 13th Doctor's run because it was supposed to be after the 13th final incarnation. But technically, the Valier can come whenever he wants. He is referenced in the 12th Doctor's run when I think it's the Grand Intelligence or something. Specifically talking about all the names the Doctor has gone by, the oncoming storm, something like that. But he mentions the Valeyard as one of his names. So that's pretty cool. We do have the Weeping Angel. The Weeping Angel was introduced, I believe, in David Tennant's run, the 10th Doctor's run, and has been an iconic staple in Doctor Who's monster mythos since. I think he came out in David Tennant's run, but I think it was the 11th Doctor Matt Smith's run with the Weeping Angels that turned them from just a cool one-off villain to like a really fucking cool staple villain for Doctor Who. I don't know if the Weeping Angels ever came back for the 13th Doctor's run. I'm pretty sure they did though. Weeping Angels have been in like I think almost every Doctor's run. Here we have the Beast, which is just the devil. I think he was in the Time War. I'm not too sure on his backstory. He was a 10th Doctor episode in the Satan Pit, where the Doctor just shows up and randomly just finds the devil chained up. And not too much to say on that one. I think he ends up being killed in that episode as well. No. He does technically die, but I think what he says specifically is like, my evil will never die or something. Next we have the Rani. So the Rani is actually a Time Lord as well, because the Doctor's main Time Lord enemies nowadays are Rassilon the Master, but he had several back in the day, and the Rani was one of the more reoccurring antagonists of the Doctor. She was a biologist for the Time Lords who just wanted to enhance life and figure out how life worked, but she would use any means necessary. And I think she was mainly a 4th Doctor and 5th Doctor enemy. I don't think she comes for 6th Doctor, which is a shame because after we kind of lose the Rani like completely, and it kind of just like dissipates. Now the Master and Rassilon are his main enemies now. Kind of sucks. We have the Sycorax Commander. This is the 10th Doctor's first enemy. For the first episode of the 10th Doctor, he encounters these creatures. They're just using blood manipulation to control the planet and kill all of the, I think, A negatives. I believe is how it works. It might have been A positive, but basically they get a blood sample that humans sent into space, for aliens to look at. They take the blood sample and they control it to almost kill all the people on the planet. But then the Doctor reveals technically that while you can control people with it, you cannot make them do anything too crazy, so they can't make them kill themselves. But that was the threat they were going with. Next, we have the Cyber Controller. Based on the design, I believe this is supposed to be David Tennant's Cyberman. So, for context, all of the Doctors kind of deal with different Cybermen. You'll usually get similar designs, but David Tennant's run in particular had him going into an alternate dimension with a human there who wanted to upgrade humanity into Cybermen because he wanted to get rid of pain and suffering and stuff. So nice little cyber controller there. If I remember correctly, the way David Tennant beats him is he basically reminds him of the ambition that made him become a Cyberman, and by doing that, he kind of realizes how much he's lost in the process and basically kills off the Cybermen on that planet. If I remember correctly. The Cybermen are usually body horror based antagonists or sci-fi dehumanizing horror, if that makes sense. Because one of the best scenes in those 2 episodes is a Cyberman gets knocked out and you hear the human voice inside of it of a girl who was going to get married, but obviously before she got converted to a Cyberman. So she's talking about how cold it is. She's talking about how her husband can't see her. She hasn't registered she's become a Cyberman. And that's kind of what happens to a lot of them. The body horror aspect does get lost in the 12th Doctor and 11th Doctor's run. 12th Doctor brings it back with the Master because one of his companions gets turned into a Cyberman, and you actually see firsthand how horrifying the Cyberman transformation actually is. Next we have the Cult of Skaro. The Cult of Skaro is a group of Daleks in the ninth and in the 10th Doctor's run, not Ninth Doctor, who basically, after the Time War ended in the original sort of modern Doctor Who, the Daleks and the Time Lords were dead. The Doctor originally killed them all, and they were gone. But the Cult of Skaro were specifically a separate group that was supposed to ensure the survival of the Dalek race. And they end up in David Tennant's timeline, in David Tennant's run to try and bring back the Daleks. They almost succeed, but they end up being beaten in the end after too many time travel shenanigans. Next, we have the Dalek Emperor. The Dalek Emperor specifically came out in David Tennant's run, but he was a massive threat during the Time War, to the point where he thought himself a god, although he had gone insane over time. So, if I remember correctly, the Dalek Emperor ran away from the Time War when they started losing some ground, or I think he got sucked into a vortex. And while he was there, he created a new race of Daleks, but they all ended up worshiping him like a god. But he already kind of had a god complex if you listen to some of the audio logs or the audio novels, because there are audio novels. Rather than animate the Time War, they just created a bunch of audio novels for it. Here we have Ashad, the Lone Cyberman. This is from the 13th Doctor's run, and I have no fucking clue what the hell he does. I know that he dies to the Master, which the Master we already covered a little earlier. And that's about it. I don't know much about him. Okay, here we go. We have the enchantment for Blink. This is the first episode the Weeping Angels came out in. This episode was kind of interesting in terms of how it was structured, because the episode does not follow the Doctor. The way the episode works. Yeah, no, you're right. Dalek Emperor was Ninth Doctor run. Yes, that is the. Yes, I remember now, because he is the one who calls out the Daleks for having a concept of blasphemy. Yep, you're right. You're right. So slip. I was thinking Ninth Doctor in my head. I don't know why I said 10th Doctor. The Ninth Doctor was around for a few iconic enemies, but nothing too crazy. He only had one season, which is a damn shame, because he was a really good Doctor. But yeah, so Blink, going back to the Blink episode for a minute, the way Blink worked is you followed a normal human girl who gets he also quite literally the final villain, Lamau. He is the final villain of the Doctor's run, yes. The way the Dalek Emperor dies is Rose Tyler, the Doctor's companion, ends up absorbing the time vortex into herself and just becomes a god. Honestly, quite a few of the Doctor's villains just lose because he just gains access to godlike power in some way, shape, or form. But going back to Blink, as you can see in the drawings there, the way most of the episode worked for Blink was these regular humans would have to got a cassette, a VHS tape of the Doctor talking to them, but it was a pre-recorded message, and the Doctor was able to directly talk to them throughout the actual episode up until a certain point, because a guy's writing down their conversation, and at some point in the episode she tells him to stop, and the Doctor says, "Oh, well, that's the end of our conversation, because there's nothing else written beyond this point." Basically, the Weeping Angels had captured the TARDIS and left the Doctor stranded, but during the episode, she's able to get the TARDIS back to the Doctor, and she ends up getting saved because the Weeping Angels are trying to destroy the TARDIS, but they end up just looking at each other, and they end up getting frozen forever. At the very end of the episode, really cool moment, she meets the Doctor in person. She never interacts with him in person in the episode until the very end, where she meets the Doctor, but it's a Doctor who has no idea who she is. And she tells him, "Okay, listen to me, Doctor. At one point you're going to lose the TARDIS. You're going to want this, and you're going to want to record a VHS message and send it right here, and then we'll handle the rest." And he's just like, "All right, cool shit." And then he just leaves to go with the new adventure. But that was a really cool moment, because that episode is, I think, the only time Doctor Who has done something where the Doctor's not the main focus the way in that episode, and you're more of seeing how the secondary people would have reacted to it. Next we have the Master formed anew. This is Anthony Annell's Master. which is the longest running master in Doctor Who history, because he was around for five Doctors. You can technically argue he was there for 8th Doctor at the start, so you can technically weasel out 5 Doctors, but he was there for 4 Doctors, but he was the master for, I want to say, something around 20 years. This master's run specifically was based on him trying to stay alive and just expand his own lifespan consistently. I think by virtue of being the longest running master, he does have the most wins of the masters. But this master's wins were more so not with the Doctor. A great example of this is in one episode, he's trying to give himself regenerations to survive by using some mystical kingdom's power. The Doctor stops him and he fails, but the master is able to capture the king and morph his body into the king's body, and he gains a new body anyways, so he still ended up winning. It's just a little weird how you want to take it, but he is the longest running master. Most people consider him to be the best master. He does have a video game appearance, which is just great. But yeah, longest running master, mainly survival based. He does have some. He does technically die a couple of times, but for the most part, he's just an overall great master. We have a Cyberman Squadron based on the artwork. This is in reference to Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor Cybermen. These Cybermen specifically were able to adapt to anything after just one encounter with it. So they were probably the most dangerous Cybermen in the series. I think you can argue that some of the other ones might have been close, but these guys are at least in the top 3 most dangerous versions. It depends on how you want to take the Cyber Lords. Or the Time? Yeah, I think it's the Cyber Lords. Because those are the Cybermen created by Time Lords. They can regenerate their bodies after they die, so I think they're more dangerous. Next, we have a Cyber Ship. This is just the ship the Cybermen use to travel through space. As far as I know, the Cybermen do not have time travel. Most species do not have time travel. Mainly the Time Lords and the Daleks technically do. Technically, he is not the strongest, but he can be the strongest under certain conditions. So, I mentioned this earlier with the Masters killing each other, but it seems they do have an artwork where the Masters do kill each other. The way this one works is she brings him in for a hug specifically, and while she's hugging him, she stabs him in the kidney, I believe, or she stabs him somewhere that's lethal, and he compliments her for killing him because that was pretty impressive in his eyes. She talks about how great it was to be him and that he deserved her best, but that it's time to move on. And when she turns her back to him, he pulls out his laser screwdriver, which I believe is a card in this deck we'll talk about later, and he just blasts her with a full blast and tells her that I emptied the whole charge into you. You won't be able to regenerate from this, so this is how it ends. We just ended up killing each other. And they just end up laughing about it before they go their separate ways. Next, we have Blasphemous Act. I believe this is in reference to when the Master in the 13th Doctor's run destroys Gallifrey. Yeah, here we go. I had to make them pay for what I discovered. They lied to us. The Founding Fathers of Gallifrey. Everything we were told was a lie. The Doctor does kill people on occasion. He just tries really hard to avoid it to get some moral high ground. The Master kills the Doctor's race because the Master finds out that the Time Lords... Or he finds out that the Doctor was the Nameless Child, which is the origin point for all Time Lords. And for some reason that makes him kill the Time Lords. I'm not too familiar with his run again, unfortunately. I believe this is an emoji bot specifically from the 12th, or I think this is the 12th Doctor's run. The Solemn Simulacrum? Solemn Simulacrum? I believe this is a 12th Doctor enemy, but it could be a 13th Doctor enemy. I'm not too sure on that one. Time Lords were the best race in Doctor Who, but then they kind of started getting fucking destroyed. Oh, so this is pretty cool. The Sound of Drums, and they actually have artworks of different versions of the character. So this is from the 10th Doctor's Master, which actually, in my opinion, is still the best Master, even though Anthony Daniel is pretty good. He had a drum beat in his head that apparently he had his entire life, And that drum beat would technically drive him crazy, but he was still able to function on par with the Doctor throughout his entire life. So it's kind of crazy that that was actually how his life was. Imagine just a constant, never-ending, just massive drum beat in your head at all times. And so that was a big deal in his run. You end up finding out that the drum beat was a message from the Time Lords to let them break the time seal, or the deadlock of the Time War. I forgot what they actually call it when time events are locked. River of Tears. Yeah. So this is from the Fisher King. This is a 12th Doctor enemy, and I believe he does succeed in killing the Doctor, to be fair. But the Doctor usually finds a way to come back even when he dies. Foreboding Ruins. Sally Sparrow. I'm not too sure who this is from. This might be the 10th Doctor. I think Sally Sparrow was a 10th Doctor companion. I think that's the girl from Blink. I could be wrong on that one, though. So here we have the Shadow Blood Ridge, which is apparently the Demon's Run location. Demon's Run was a event in Doctor Who where you find out the origin of a character named River Song. It's basically the Doctor calling all of his old friends to go to help him fight a army. It's a little silly in concept when you consider the fact that the Doctor probably could have done it on his own. Didn't really need an army, but it is what it is. So this is the 12th Doctor. This is actually, I believe, where Clara betrays the 12th Doctor, because what happens is she wants to save her boyfriend who died. Time Lords only have 12 lives technically, but the Master has died like 50 times, and the Doctor technically has an infinite number of generations because they are the timeless child. They technically cheat the rule. Very silly what they did there. There's like no stakes in Doctor Who currently at this point because the Doctor will always come back in some way, shape, or form. Very silly that they did that. I do not recognize this location in particular. I believe this is Linda. I believe this is a 12th or 13th Doctor companion. Here we have a 10th Doctor event, but I'm not too familiar on this one. It's a train cart by the looks of it. I'm not too familiar where this one comes from, though. I've seen most of the 10th Doctors run, but there are a few things I'm not too familiar with. This land card, I believe, is in reference to the Actually, I think this is the Water of Mars, actually. I think that's what this one is. Which I never saw the Water of Mars, specifically. We talked about this a little earlier with the creatures there. But that is not one that I'm too familiar with. Okay, so this one actually is kind of cool. I actually do know this one because this is from Missy's first appearance where you find out she's the Master. So this is a catacomb with water in it for human corpses, but this water in particular was like lets you see the bones. But they were already Cybermen at that point, and the water just hid the metal that turned them into that like made them Cybermen. I don't know how they explain it within the story. It just does. Yeah, just talking about it. Hello, Newman. I'm not too familiar with this one. So some of these, unfortunately, while I'm more familiar with the villains, I'm not too familiar with some of these locations because they come a little later on. Okay, name the top 4 best Doctors in Doctor Who. If you want my opinion, can we do this text unboxing? Yeah, I already went through quite a bit now. We only have about another probably 60 cards to get through. We already went through some of the more iconic villains. If you want to go back and see that later, Nolan was there, so it's a little more on the nose. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with some of the more modern Doctor Who stuff, unfortunately, and I'm not familiar with some of the older stuff, but I believe this in particular. These are Daleks, but I'm pretty sure this is from the 13th Doctor's run. I do not believe this is earlier on. It's called Temple of Malice. This could actually be 7th Doctor now I think about it. It doesn't show what Doctor it is, though. Next we have Canyon Slow. Two. Oh, right. You asked me to name top 4 doctors, right? My bad. In my personal opinion, it's going to be 10th Doctor's number 1, 11th Doctor number 2. 4th Doctor, I think, has hit a 3rd spot for me. I really like the 4th Doctor. And last one, I would probably say I really like 7th. 7th Doctor is a very interesting Doctor because he's a very neutral, borderline, like lawful evil, I would say, Doctor. Here we have a repeat card from the last set because unfortunately we will get some repeats because they're just generically good cards. Like right here, Exotic Orchard. Talked about this last time. I think the 10th Doctor is the best Doctor, but the way... Also, I finished the thumbnail you asked me to do. Leave it in Discord, okay? Can you give me a rundown of what this deck does? Because villains tend to have the most fun game plans. I'll talk about it afterwards, yeah. This one's much more of a swarm-based deck, but I'll talk about what the commanders do. I won't go into detail about the other units because there's too many cards there. Maybe I'll do like a gameplay breakdown at some point if you're interested, because I mean, for the most part, most people don't watch this. Taylor says Doctor. Yeah, so here we have actually a new red-blue location. I believe this is in the other Doctor deck. But so this is just the Temple of Outpost and the Planet of Time. I believe this is an older Doctor. I'm pretty sure it's an older Doctor location. Yeah, this deck's a lot more fun and a lot more straightforward in what it's supposed to do because I've already seen what their cards can do. Here we have the 12th Doctor over the Frozen Thames. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. These are all just land cards. We do not have a lot of these. Specifically because my last deck didn't have red in it. Hang on. So for context, these are the colors hit. Red, blue, and black. And my last deck in particular... Where I leave it. My last deck in particular hit... green, white, and blue. So we're kind of getting more of the other cards here. I believe Magic only has 6. What am I missing? Hang on. Fire, water, green is earth. Are there only 5 regions of Magic? Hang on. There should be how to play Magic here. I'm pretty sure. Is it just 5 regions? It might just be 5 regions. There we go. Let me take a look at this. So I think I hit every single region. Yeah, there are 5 regions. Okay. Yes. 10th Doctor is the most popular Doctor. So technically I have a bunch of good generic staples for any Magic deck I ever want to build in the future. I won't be building regular Magic decks. I'll only be working with Doctor Who cards. Because that's the main reason I bought this. I might... if I actually get into some vaguely competitive Magic, I won't spend more than $30 on this game. Beyond what I've spent. I might get some support cards from Magic to make a specific leader or 2 work. Because... these are precons. These are not good. They're playable, but they're technically not very effective. Although they don't play too poorly, in my opinion. Shane Pimpton was not here because I'm not too familiar with this actual antagonist. Lava Claw Reaches. It looks like some sort of lava monster, but I'm not too familiar. Some sort of lava Spartan. I'm not too familiar what Doctor this is from, though. If I had to make a guess, I'm going to say 12 or 13. I don't think it's an earlier Doctor. Okay, so I actually do know this one, because this is from the Time of the Angels. This is the Shipwreck Marsh. So, this art in particular is from an episode where the Doctor goes with River Song, his wife, to a shipwreck that he just runs into to hang out with her, have fun. And everything on the ship is an angel. So they have to face off against several Weeping Angels. This actual episode buffed the Weeping Angels immensely. It gave them so much more powers that they did not originally have. Is Magic the only card game player not hate you if you play your burn deck right? They'll still hate you for burn damage, but like if you get burned alive in Magic, you just really can't do anything. People will still hate you in Magic if you do degenerate strategies, but Magic players, I think more specifically, hate cards rather than playstyles. But so this is Commander format. So in Commander format, you can only have one copy of a card. Here we have Haunted Ridge. I believe we did have this one in a different deck earlier. I'm not too familiar where this one comes from, unfortunately. Some of these enemy cards I'm not too familiar with. I'm a little surprised by how many I might not be familiar with. Glitz. So Sabon Glitz Dragons. This is a 6th Doctor episode. It's kind of weird seeing artwork because the older Doctor Who episodes had a really small budget. They did not have the crazy special effects we do nowadays. So when you see artwork for a monster that was probably like a fucking claymation back in the day, it's pretty cool. Creeping Tar Pit. I'm not too familiar where this is from. Based on its artwork, I would have to say probably 12th or 13th. Here, I'll post. I'll like show it. Maybe Pimp DM might recognize it if he's still here, but he might have left for work already. Oh, sweet! We actually do get a silent. Fuck yeah. We got Gallifrey Council Chamber again. 10th Doctor card. I think we had one for this already in the other Doctor deck, so I won't talk too much about it. Next, we have the Renegade Silent. I'm really glad this card actually is in the deck. The Silents were the 11th Doctor's most iconic enemy. I talked about them a little earlier when I talked about the Day of the Moon. What Doctor has the effect to let both players have a limited hand size? I think that was not second. I think that might have been the 5th or 6th. That might have been the 6th or 7th or 8th Doctor. But I believe one of the Doctors did do that. But there are cards that let you do that in this game. Yeah, so the Silents have this really cool effect where they will just fade away. And this is a really good card effect based on how it works. They get phased, so on your next turn, so basically on your opponent's turn, they don't exist anymore. Which is so on point thematic for the Silents because once you looked away from them, you forgot they existed. Really fucking cool effect. Here we have the Zygon Infiltrator, which the Zygons were a race in Doctor Who that could turn into any species they wanted to. There's not much else to them. They appeared in the Day of the Doctor. I believe they had a few episodes in the 9th and 10th Doctor's run. I could be wrong on that one. Actually, no. I might be wrong. I think the Zygons first come back to Doctor Who Modern in the Day of the Doctor. I think that was their first actual return to modern Doctor Who. I don't think they had any other appearances up until that point. Here we have Don't Blink. This is from the episode, the actual, freaking Weeping Angels do appear in. It was a very iconic line. The Weeping Angels had such a good introduction. What do you scale Weeping Angels to? They don't really have any scaling. They are strong enough to damage the TARDIS, so I'm sure they have some scaling there. Exterminate. Daleks just exterminating somebody. Always love that. Law of Destruction, like flat out card destruction here. Dalek Squadron. This card has the ability to multiply on attack, and then its clones leave after the turn's over, but they do attack all players on the field. I don't think they attack all units, just all players. Yes. So they leave after they're done, but one of the masters in particular keeps them on the field. So you just attack and you multiply by 2 or 3, and then you just keep multiplying and multiplying. Technically the master is not the strongest Time Lord. Technically the Doctor has won more times, and Rassilon technically is stronger. But I would say the master is like easily top 3 fucking Time Lords. Sontaran General, just a simple soldier species. They appeared in the 10th Doctor's run. They were a classic Who villain. I do not remember who introduced them though. I think they might have been introduced in the second or third Doctors. I think second Doctor's era might have introduced them actually. I think they might have been second Doctor. I don't think they were introduced later, like they introduced later on, but I could be wrong on that one. Oh, we do. Oh, that's fucking cool. We do get a Great Intelligence card. So the Great Intelligence was a character who obviously was really intelligent, but they could take over inanimate objects. And what they ended up doing was they went into the Doctor's timeline to turn all of his victories into defeats by going to his gravesite and accessing his timeline out on his death. But Clara goes through it and changes it up. What the fuck happened there? And saves the Doctor's life by basically going through her timeline, but she always continuously dies as a result of it until he saves her. Here we have the Cyberman Patrol. This is for the original Cybermen. This is what they originally looked like in Doctor Who. These Cybermen do make a reappearance, I believe. Actually, hang on. Are these the original Cybermen? No, I take that back. These are the Cybermen of the 5th Doctor's run, if I'm not mistaken. You should. 4th Doctor's pretty good. Best outfit? I think 10th Doctor. 10th Doctor is a really nice outfit. We have a Cybermat. This is just a Cyberman rat that just infects people with touches. Nothing too crazy. Clockwork Droid, I believe, is a 12th Doctor enemy. I believe the Clockwork creatures were 12 Doctors. I do not think so. I do not have the War Doctor deck. That's my brother's deck. I'll have to buy a separate copy of the War Doctor later. Here we have the Midnight Crusade Shuttle. Hello, BCB. I do not know what this does. I do not even know. I think this was a 10th Doctor actual storyline, because I believe this is where one of the girls who sacrifices her life for the Doctor dies. I mentioned this earlier, but we actually have the laser screwdriver. The laser screwdriver only made an appearance in the technically John Sims Master, so the 10th Doctor's Master reappears for the 13th Doctor run. He never had a screwdriver before that point. He had a shrink ray that would kill people by compressing them. A compression ray, I think is what it was called. But for the 10th Doctor's run, they gave him a laser screwdriver, probably to capitalize on the idea of them having separate screwdrivers. The laser screwdriver can age you if it has its biological code. It can de-age you and stuff of that nature, and it does have a laser beam that is strong enough to kill a Time Lord. Does Magic even have deck out deck? It does. It does have mulligan. It does have mills in it. Okay, so from here on in, these are some more staple cards we went through last time, because Magic has a lot of generically good cards that get reprinted in every deck. So I'm just going to sleeve these up, and I will come back to talk about cards we have not seen before. I just learned how to play Magic ultimately today. I did learn how to play it more or less. I don't think we had this one actually in the other one. So let me actually show this one. Okay, yeah, so thankfully after we get a few staples out of the way, we're back over here. So this is Clara Oswald talking to the Doctor as he's running away from one of the versions of her that dies. I believe that is the one where she is a Dalek. So Clara in particular was a really good setup. I don't have the Clara card. I'll probably have to order it. It's only 10 cents. When you first meet Clara, she dies and that's it. She saves the Doctor and that's it. But then a few episodes later, you meet Clara again. She dies again. You meet Clara again. She dies again. You meet Clara again and again, and she keeps dying again until you meet her as a normal companion in the present day. And then I think at the end of that season, you find out why she's been going back in time, dying over and over again. Here we have Propaganda. This is from the 10th Doctor's Master's run, where the Master... So the Master steals the Doctor's TARDIS and leaves him at the end of time. The Doctor's able to escape because there's another time traveling device nearby. But he locks the Master into just 2 points in time to prevent him from going too far out. And the Master, in the course of 18 months, is able to fabricate an entire life and win an election in just the span of technically the doctor says at most had 18 months, but given that the master acknowledges he faked all of his history and everything, he probably only had maybe 1 or 2 months at best. Because we don't know how long he's been waiting for to actually pull it off, and he does work quickly. I am not too sure which antagonist this is from. It does have a quote about going beyond universes, so I'm not too sure where that one's from. Clara is the Kenny of the series. Technically, yes. Who is the 10th Doctor? Old man, right? The 10th Doctor is not an old man. So, one thing Doctor Who did when they came back is they kind of got more younger, livelier people, and so more pretty boy-esque characters. And so that current run had nothing but pretty boys. This is again, I believe, a 12th Doctor's enemy. Emoji bots that just go around killing people. So he has much screens. Not quite, no. Here we have the Commander Spear. This is a device used in the 10th Doctor's episode where people fight wars with each other over a device to save the planet. This episode's actually kind of cool. I don't know if she has her own card. I'll have to check. But this episode was cool because they actually cloned the Doctor to create a soldier, and he technically gets a daughter in that episode, who he basically hates her throughout the entire episode, but right when he starts liking her and starts getting along with the idea that I have a daughter now, she of course gets killed. And for some reason she can't regenerate, I guess because she's not a full-time Lord or some stupid shit. It's never properly explained why she couldn't regenerate, she just doesn't. But the weird part about it is that the daughter is the guy's actual wife. It was the 10th Doctor's wife, who was the daughter of the 5th Doctor, and the 5th Doctor and the 10th Doctor do have a crossover charity event, which was really cool. I guess Missy travels around without a TARDIS, or so she uses a handheld time travel device. The Doctor is, I wouldn't say he's the most skilled in the verse, but he's just the most clever, intelligent enough to get away with shit. Talisman of Dominance. So this is from the episode The Satan Pit, because these are the Oods who are turned into evil people. The Oods were a race of peaceful individuals who got turned into slaves because they didn't fight back. They're born with their brains outside of their head, so they have to hold on to it like this to keep their brains safe. Catan be a Cyberman? Lol. Yes. Although, a Cyber Legion on his own? Debatable. It depends on what Cybermen you're talking about, too, because certain Cybermen are built different. They are not all on the same level. I would argue Matt Smith's Cybermen would probably beat Daleks in a fight. But specifically those, and maybe the Cyber Lords. I'm not too sure about the others. Talisman of Indulgence. This is a memory chip used by the church in the future. Mondesian Cybermen. The first ones? Probably. I'd have to see what their statements are in the 13 Doctors run specifically, but I'm pretty sure you could. So she wears that eye patch because she works alongside the Silence. So in order to remember the Silence are there at all times, she has a hard drive that is backed up into her brain that reminds her, you just saw the Silence. Because anything you tell the Silence, you will forget after you see them. The Silence are technically priests who you're meant to confess to. So you go confess your sins, and then when you turn away, you have now forgotten your sins. You have been absolved. That's cool. So the command tower for this deck is the Master's TARDIS, unlike the Doctor's TARDIS. So some of these cards are the same, technically, But they have different artwork to show that you're using an evil deck versus a good deck, which I really enjoy. This is just a random fucking black hole. I'm sure it's caused by someone. 13th Doctor, enemy location. Matt Smith's Doctor was good. I haven't really encountered a bad Doctor in my time of watching Doctor Who clips. I've only just been, like, it's just that a lot of the older Doctors do not have any real footage anymore. So you can only see a couple clips and, like, some recordings online, and it sucks. We already saw this card before. Actually, Smasher past Doctor Who villains. This is from I think the Rings of Aton is what it's called. It's a 11th Doctor episode where he basically is he's basically trying to fight a sun because the sun keeps forcing them to sacrifice children in order to live. The way he ends up beating it is a really silly, in my opinion, it's a bit of a cop-out, but basically he tries to overload the sun with information of his own existence, which theoretically speaking should have worked. But it doesn't. But a leaf has an infinite number of possibilities and it overloads the sun and kills it. Keep in mind that by the Doctor's logic of how the infinite idea works, it should apply to any human, and it should apply to the Doctor who's seen the whole of infinity and the vastness of eternity. But whatever, it was a good scene. It was a good fucking speech. It's fine. Tower of Time Lords. How about 13th Doctor? How about the 13th Doctor? We don't talk about that. Ooh, she wasn't terrible, but she came at the wrong time. No towels? Crumbling Necropolis. Hello, Claybo. Just talking about Doctor Who stuff. Welcome to the stream. This is actually from the Two Masters episode inside a ship that's slowly going to be like destroyed by the Cybermen. Where the Master basically converts all the people into the Mondesian Cybermen, and they end up turning on the Master because he underestimates the Doctor, as you do. 12th Doctor, Zygon inversion speech, his best speech. Oof. I don't know, there are some good speeches. Okay, the last cards here are just a couple of generic land cards we've seen before.
Whoever said that, I 100% agree with him. I feel like that was his best speech.
Bruh.
That was his I'm the Doctor speech. It's a shame it happened 2 seasons later, but you know what? It's a better sooner than later.
Wow.
By the way, do you get the sea monster? What was his name? The Sea Lord? The Sea Fish?
The Fisher King?
Yeah, there you go, the Fisher King. Do you get him?
I can double check, but I don't think I get the Fisher King. I get cards around the Fisher King, but I don't think I actually get him.
That'd be kind of cool if you got the Fisher King.
Yeah, but I definitely have cards that directly reference his episode. Here, let me check. Now that I've sleeved the entire deck, let me go back to the beginning real quickly. Yeah.
Dude, I love not being able to get this up out of my ass. Easy.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that information with the stream. Really appreciate it.
Oh, well, I mean, on your stream, anything's possible.
Not the point. Hang on, let me just check right here, just make sure I don't have them here. Yeah, the rest are just generic land cards I've shown you guys before, just with TARDISes and locations. Really cool land cards, but not really like...
Did you get the Trickster?
I'm not sure. What episode was he? What episode was he from?
It'd be old.
I did not get the Trickster then, though. I don't recall seeing them. A lot of these are more modern.
Okay.
Do you remember where the Clockwork Droids are from, actually?
Yeah, they're from the 10th Doctor.
Okay, I was. Christmas special?
No, I'm pretty sure it's when he goes to get when he meets Madame de Pompadour,
Oh, okay, yeah.
the girl in the fireplace.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So I forgot that one. Yeah, we get Zygons, we get the Silence.
Oh, cool.
We get the Drowned Catacomb, which directly, I believe, well, we do get some, like, direct lines from the Fisher King, actually, in these. Hang on.
You get the Charger Seeker?
We do not get House, no. Hang on. Let me just check real quickly.
What about the Dream Lord?
We do not get him either.
Damn. They really missed out on a lot of good opportunities.
For reals. Hang on. Let me also... Yeah, we got Toymaker's Trap here. Why don't you have the Nightmare Child? They do not have the Nightmare Child.
Oh, yeah, the Toymaker's Trap?
It does have the Toymaker's Trap, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We got the Doomsday Confluence, which I'm pretty sure is from David Tennant's run. We got a Time Reaper, Vasha Narada, Dalek Drone. The Flood of Mars. Do you remember what the Mars water episode was?
It's the one where they start to eat each other. And
Yeah.
It's the one where the kind of the doctor turned into like a kind of like
What doctor though?
Ten Doctor. Where he turned into like a tyrant.
Hmm.
Where she was like, "But you can't do that. They're not little people."
Oh, yeah, okay.
That episode.
Autumn Soldier. I mean, he was right though.
Yeah.
We get the Autumn Soldier, Dark Water Catacombs. Oh, here we go. Sunken Hollow, where he fights the Fisher King. Linda, 12 Doctors, Location, Demon's Run. Here we go. Yeah, we got a direct quote from the Fisher King. Waiting for one of the lands.
What is it?
We will drown the oceans and put the humans in chains.
Oh man. Now that's not good stuff.
We get the emoji bots, which I'm pretty sure was a 12 Doctors run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, is it like a clown?
No, it's like it's like the thing that looks like from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe. But
Oh,
it has-
that's what I'm here. Actually, that might be 13.
I was thinking it was 012 or 13. We get the Missy Betrayal one. We get the Cyber Ship. We get the Cyberman
Do
Squadron.
you not get the Cyber Planner?
I get the Cyber Commander, the one you have, yeah, but no actual Cyber Planner.
Oh, what? They missed such good opportunities.
Yeah, beyond that, that's about it for the non-legendaries. We do not get the Fisher King, no. We don't get them. But we do get cards around them, though.
Where are you?
I'm pretty sure we get 3 lands, specifically, that revolve around the Fisher King. Yeah, so for the actual named creatures that aren't just regular Cybermen and shit, we get the Weeping Angel, the Beast, the Rani, the Commander guy from the
Right?
10 Doctors. Yeah, we get the Rani somehow. The Cyber Controller, Coltascaro, Dalek Emperor, the Lone Cyberman, which is from 13 Doctors run. That's just a blink card. The Master, oh, my bad. Razalon, the Valiard, the Master, the Master technically, and Devros.
What about the Black Dalek?
What do you mean? You mean the Coltascaro?
Well, no, just the Black Dalek that survived everything. Like, I've seen Doctor, your soul.
Yeah, he's a member of the Coltascaro.
Do you get the Coil Star?
Yeah.
Oh.
There they are.
Do you get the Power Ranger Daleks?
You do not.
Oh, dude, look at all these misses. You want to know what I realized too? You also don't get Winston Churchill, like in general.
Yeah, but that's probably for more like legality reasons, I'm sure. Yeah, you do not get the pure superior Daleks.
Yeah.
We don't get the superior genes. We got these inferior Daleks. We do get the Dalek Emperor though, so that's pretty cool.
That's kind of lame to be honest, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
So Newen, since if you're still here, Newen, I'll talk about the decks a little bit more and how they work. So I gotta wait for the Warmoire to come back anyways.
And the soap to disappear.
What?
And the soap to disappear.
Yeah, but I can deal with the soap.
Where are you?
So technically, I'll talk about leaders you can actually run all these cards with for now. Because, so some of these leaders, like Missy, do have 3.
So wait, so what's their sonic screwdriver? Because in our
Laser screwdriver.
Huh?
We get the laser screwdriver.
Oh, the laser screwdriver.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess.
They really thought hard there.
Well, no. So that was actually kind of interesting because I didn't think they were going to reprint the same card with an alternate artwork like that. So that's actually kind of cool. The villains, because this is the only villain deck, and you don't get villains in any other deck of Doctor Who's, other decks. No, you don't get any other villains. Because that one's just all allies, and I'm pretty sure yours don't get villains either.
I got Missy.
You got Missy from a pack.
You're right.
Yeah. Because Missy should have been in the 13th Doctor, 12th Doctor's run deck. But yeah, no. So we don't get that. So let me just look and see what leaders you can actually run with this deck. Because there are other play styles, but for this deck in particular, if I were, because I'm going to have to run this as a pre-con, I can only use leader cards that have access to all of the colors in the deck. Because the way Magic works with its commanders specifically is you have to build your deck around your commander, but part of that means that you can only use mana cards and cards of the color of your commanders. So if you have 3 color commanders, like quite a few of these are, you get access to 3 different regions. And in order to play this specific deck listing, you need to run a 3 color commander. But several of these cards have either 2 colors. I don't think any of them has a single color. Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. There is a companion in this deck, which is kind of weird. Yeah, there's some random freaking guy. But yeah, I guess he would count as legendary creature. Hang on, let me see if I can find him. There are next to like no legendary creatures in this deck. They're all just regular creatures.
Well, you don't deserve legendary creatures.
Damn, bro. Hang on.
Your whole other deck is legendary creatures, or turn this object into a legendary creature.
Damn straight. Here we go. Legendary creature rogue, Visler Turlo?
What's it?
Visler Turlo. He's modern, I'm pretty sure.
He's from the 13th Doctor.
Yeah, well, apparently... Well, he's a legendary creature, so I guess I'll put him out because he can be played. I don't think any of these others are legendary creatures.
Actually, at the store, they had his full art and foil.
I don't really care, though. I'm probably only going to be writing him.
I'm gonna be honest. I understand that the ones that are like blue with the TARDIS parts are more rare. I like them better when they're holographic. You know,
Yeah.
It looks cooler. It makes me feel better about myself.
All right, so I don't know if Newen's still here, but if Newen's watching this later, since Newen asked about the play styles, I'll go over. So this is technically the first one. Davros, the Dalek creator, is the one that is on the cover of the box, but he is not the actual.
Do you get the hand location?
The what?
The location where he's trapped in the hand, like by hands?
No.
Like, do you get that as a land?
There is a card that references it, but you don't see the hands pop up for some reason.
What the fuck, man?
I'm still here, lad. All right. So these are the ones you can run in the pre-con deck.
I'm a little disappointed.
What?
I'm a little disappointed.
They went very basic, but that's because they went. There are 4 different versions of the Cyberman in this deck.
You could tell where they put love and care, and where they just kind of quickly did it.
I'm gonna say that these no, the leaders are great, but the problem is that we have like all 4 Cybermen. We have the Time Cyberman, although they come in the Masters card. We have the Mandesian Cyberman. We have Matt Smith Cyberman.
You have the Pandorica?
That's in your deck.
Why is it in your deck?
That's a good question. Gonna get more coffee because you left me with nothing out of saying Doctor 27 times. After saying Doctor 27 times. Make sure to send me the price for the actual thumbnail, Newhan, because me and Kyle are gonna split that price. Ideally, Kyle will still be able to stream for like an hour or 2 tonight, but if not, then I'll try and make it up to him on Saturday. Unfortunately, bathroom issues. So, yeah, so for now, we'll start with the cards you can play in the pre-con, and then we'll talk about what comes afterwards, because now I do know how to play Magic, but I probably can't give you an accurate representation of, like, the full craziness cards can do.
We went to, like, 60% knowledge, I feel like.
No, we know how to play the game now. We just probably couldn't, like, gauge a card's strength by just, like, reading it. Okay,
then I'm going to be at 60. You're, like, at 75, 80.
I feel like I feel like you know more than you think you do. You're just confused if you're right or not about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, thankfully, because I'm a little more familiar with card games, I did pick up the game a little easier. Although there were things that were confusing that he did answer, which was great. Nice card. Nice guy. So, we're going to start with Davros. So, for context, commanders are not in the deck. You do not have to search them. You can play them at any time.
Dude, the smell was horrendous when we were there. When the Pokemon kids were playing.
Oh, bro.
Dude, the fucking smell. I wanted to just break the fucking window next to me to breathe. I wanted to be nice and be like, hey, so the next place are you going to have ventilation? Because, dude, holy shit. I know there's like memes around it, and jokes and everything.
It's like stereotypes. There's a reason they exist.
Dude. And that one guy, did you say doctor? And I was like,
I will say that random guy was fucking weird. Like, I mean, I'm sure he was just trying to, like, you know, like, fuck around.
Yeah,
and,
to
like,
talk to, yeah.
but it's like, my guy, we're learning how to play the game. Could you fuck the right fuck
He's
up?
like, doctor! And I was like,
Well, the guy smelled your locals. I guess my brother. I think I become nose blind a little bit
no,
too
you're
weird.
100% knows Mike, because you didn't even flinch. Josh didn't either. That's why I told him, you know, it's supposed to be an interesting job. You're going to meet all these interesting characters, you know? Because like, they're all the ones that seem like autistic.
Yeah, I guess I just been in that scenario long enough. Unfortunately, people don't shower for some reason.
No, but it's funny because there's them, and then there's you, where you're like the nerd in the fedora. Good day, my lady.
Bruh. Well, actually, real briefly before I go over these,
Hey, that's fucked about Mateo opening Mario's Pexo.
he does that a lot.
That's fucked.
He does that a lot. Yeah,
And then does like he take the cards?
yeah. He just doesn't charge Mario for it.
That's fucked.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he did to the box.
Yeah.
That's to do. Yeah. I mean, it saves Mario money. Mario doesn't care too much. I think he'll give Mario the like deck box though.
That was yeah. He has two.
I wouldn't put it past him for him to hold it.
That was fucked though. Like, cause I thought you were saying it as a joke.
They don't tell me shit about any card because, like, you notice that he didn't really respond back there, but he was like trying to ignore it. But like, because they were giving me shit, like, why aren't you gonna buy it for us? And I'm like, you guys don't tell me anything about card games being sold at all. Be grateful I told you the box is there at fucking all.
That's why he's like, well, if this game mad, I'm like, aren't you mad you lost? He's like, oh, nothing, bro. It's all good. You get out of here.
Like he's my friend, but like, they need to know that like me telling you guys that it even exists is more than what you fuckers would do for me. So I want you guys to shut the fuck up. I'm not buying that shit for you.
I think I might go on Saturday to that tournament they're having.
Just keep a nice positive attitude because they can be cunts too.
No, I was hearing him. I'm gonna look at the face and be like, have you touched the booth?
I would say whether they want you to buy stuff for them, yeah, because they didn't want to go drive out. I think it's less than they don't shower more and they sweat like absolute mad lads and the stench is murmured in their clothes.
It's just they don't wear deodorant, bro. If they just put on, not Axe, but if they just, wiped it, it would be fine. But holy shit, dude. Damn. It felt like I was in the junkyard. It felt like I was back at Denny's cleaning the women's bathroom. I was like...
All these specific, but okay. Yeah, no, I didn't know, so, but yeah, no. Yeah, they just didn't want to drive out to get it, and I'm like, well, hey, it's going to sell out. For context, it was a,
What's that waifu?
So, I mentioned this before, but I lose in One Piece all the time. Because I play a VV leader, and they released a special box with Crocodile on there as well. I think this is for the last set, just a special, like, store deck box. And they come with some exclusive, like exclusive art cards. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll buy. ¿Vos sabés que vamos a sacar caliente, mujer? No se trabaja mañana. No. All right. I'll have to be a little more quiet because for some reason, even though she doesn't go to sleep till fucking 4 a.m. in the morning like us, she's trying to tell me to shut up. All right, so we'll start with Devros, Dalek creator. At the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace. If your opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, then each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. You draw a card, or that player discards a card. So basically, every time you deal more than like 2 or 3 damage, every time you deal 3 damage to anybody, you summon a card, and then they can either give you a card or they discard a card from their hand. So heavily aggro, heavily swarm based, but that's what most of these cards are. They're gonna be very swarm based going forward. This is very strong on its own, I think. This one and a few other cards in this deck list are the main commanders people have been building decks around. Next up is Missy. Whenever a non-artifact creature dies, so whenever a unit dies, revive it. Doctor Who was Professor what? ¿Qué? No. Mujer. ¿Cómo que ya? Ni solas una. Yo no sabía que la vamos a sacar caliente. ¿Por qué tú estás haciendo algo? Y luego no te vas a dormir. Fine. Cállate, fine. No, it's fucking ridiculous. She's gonna come fucking bitch to me later, literally like in an hour from now, that she's not fucking asleep. I don't know why she fucking acts like she's going to. So, unfortunately, I will respect her wishes, and I will give her a chance to go to sleep. She won't. Never fucking does. But, whatever. So, unfortunately, I will have to talk about how these decks play a little more in a separate stream, or if not, I'll talk about them during the next card game stream with Newhin, since I can talk a little more about it there freely. So, because I want to be clear, I stream till 3 a.m. in the fucking morning, and my room where I stream in is right next to hers. She can hear me the entire fucking night. And yeah, I stayed till 3 in the morning, so yeah. Well, first I need to get a new job hunting before I can move out. So, I will have to save this for another day. I can do it tomorrow, actually, when I come back from watching the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Since I figured I might as well go watch that to see how that goes. You're testing to work wonders, my guy. Unfortunately, Magic is too complicated to play on your own. So I could like play it out and show you guys how hands work, but that's about it. All right. So with that said, for today, that'll be it for today's stream. Again, if I can hopefully get out early from the shower because the water's fucked up, I should be able to stream for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half with Kyle. Newhin, remember to send me the price for the thumbnail. I'll talk to Kyle about it. And yeah, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day. Dark Lord, Sun Wukong scaling is very controversial, and Chinese mythology is very controversial. So I would need to see what Sun Wukong can do before I can actually make that call. So yeah, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys on the next streamer video. Take care, everybody.